All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be showing you my entire Robert Ludlum book collection. We've got all of the Robert Ludlum books right here, with the exception of like two, I believe. He wrote a couple of comedy novels that I just don't... I tried reading them once, I just didn't like them. These are all political thrillers. You know, Robert Ludlum is most well known for the Bourne Identity and the Jason Bourne series. Of course, those books were magnificent, and they were made into even equally magnificent movies starring Matt Damon. But anyway, I'm going to show you all of my collection here. This is a rather new collection. I mean, I've been collecting Robert Ludlum books since I was a teenager, but the spines were all scattered around, and you know what I mean? None of them matched because they were all printed in different times and eras and yada, yada, yada. It was just a weird looking collection. But the publisher recently, within the last 5 years, re-released all of the Robert Ludlum books with similar spines and similar book cover designs that I thought were extremely dope. So I repurchased them all about 5 years ago. And as you can see, all the spines look cool. Now, this is the Bourne trilogy up here, which I did not replace. Because the publisher, as publishers do, even when they did the re-release, they still fucked up the Bourne one. Anyway, I just kept the old Bourne ones. Let's talk about those first. So anyway, you can see that the spines all match here, except for the Bourne trilogy. The Bourne trilogy, we'll start with that one. I kept my old copies of the paperbacks that I bought when I was younger. The spines do match. I mean, at least they do look like they belong in the same series. Of course, it starts with the Bourne... Let's see, I don't know what order they're in. I do know the Bourne Identity is the first one. And then comes the Bourne Ultimatum. And then the Bourne Supremacy. Now, see, they all look pretty cool. I mean, they got their color scheme, the purple, the red, and the blue, whatever. That's cool, but they all look good. Now, I have read and reviewed each one of these books on the channel. So if you want to watch a detailed book review of each Jason Bourne novel, just type in my last name, Durfee, type in Robert Ludlum into your YouTube search bar. Through some sort of pagan sorcery that I don't understand, those video reviews will magically appear upon your television screen if you want to watch those. So that's my... I mean, I've had these books for quite some time, for over 30 years at least, these paperbacks. And I've read them all about 3 times, and they are just cool books to have in the collection. Now let's go to the new ones that I bought, which I really like the design that they did for these. Now, again, as you can tell, the new versions are a different size. Not sure why they do that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much. We'll put those there. Now, the new ones have these similar sort of designs to them, and they all match. You know, they've got the how do we describe this? The slanted version of the name and title with a sort of a little icon and a picture of Europe. And now the Jason Bourne books were set all over the world as thrillers. All the Robert Ludlum books are set in exotic locations, and usually there's a nice photo of some exotic location on the cover of each of these. But let's go over these. The Gemini Contenders. I'm pulling these out in no particular order. The Gemini Contenders is set in Salonika, Greece, 1939, and it's about a lot of Nazi stuff and the Italian Alps, a sinister cache of treasures or something like that. Eventually we will read this one on... well, actually, I did read this one on and left a review of this. It was actually one of the best opening scenes of a book I think I've ever read. And then we've got the Scarlatti Inheritance. which I read and reviewed on the Chower channel. The Chower. What the fuck is that? Holy crike. Her Weapon, Money, and Power. Okay, so this was about Elizabeth Scarlatti, sort of this lady that is a vast fortune during World War II and how that fortune affected her family throughout the years. I did read and review that one. We will put this one here. What is next? The Matrice Circle. Yes, I did read and review the Matrice Circle also. And I don't know if it's the Matrice or the Matrice or the Matrisa. I don't know what it is. But this is one of my favorite Robert Ludlum books about the Matrice Circle, which is a international cabal of assassins. This is a fantastic thriller. This is just absolutely great. I love the cover too. Now the rest of these books, so these are the 6 that I've read and reviewed for the channel. There's still a ton more that I got to read and review for the channel, but let's go over them. We've got the Matrice Countdown, which is the sequel to the Matrice Circle. I need to read this one and review it on the channel too soon. But it's, again, more about our Matrice assassins going against top CIA agents and top KGB agents. And then next on the list, oh, this is another one. This is a great book that I remember reading. I've read this once when I was younger, and I was captured and enthralled by it. That is The Osterman Weekend. It's literally a book that's told within the time frame of just a weekend, and all the characters are just in one house, one location. Kind of like those old Agatha Christie mysteries where they're just on the Nile on a boat or on an international train. What was that one called? The train that's anyway, Oriental Express. You know, those Agatha Christie books that were just set in a house where all the characters were suspects in a murder. Same thing with the Osterman Weekend. They're all stuck in a house. They're all suspects of being spies. Great book. I think that's what I remember, but I'll have to reread it. That could be way off on me. The Hallcroft Covenant. Another great cover there. The Fourth Reich is awaiting to arise, and the only man who can stop it is about to sign its birth certificate. In 1945, the children of the Third Reich were secretly hidden all over the world. That's basic. I mean, that's going to be a good thriller. And then we've got The Cry of the Haladon. This one looks like it's set in the jungles somewhere. Yeah, Jamaica. This one's set in. This is a thriller set in Jamaica. Just the cover gives it away. And then we got, of course, the Rhineman Exchange. Of course, we got the Nazi stuff going on. A lot of these books that Robert Ludlum wrote were kind of based in and around World War II. That's why I like a lot of this stuff. Autumn 1943. American agent David Spaulding is among the global espionage elite who have converged upon Buenos Aires. His secret mission can bring World War II to an end. All the way from Buenos Aires, they can end the war. Then we've got the Chancellor Manuscript. Did J. Edgar Hoover die a natural death, or was he murdered? Oh my God. Find out in The Hallcroft Covenant. And then this is a big thick one, The Apocalypse Watch. God, this is like 1,000 pages. It is. American agent Harry Latham has penetrated the fortress-like mountain hideaway of the Brotherhood of the Watch, a neo-Nazi organization that was born in the days after the fall of the Third Reich, but on the eve of the most spectacular success after 3 years of Harry disappears. Okay, so another World War II Nazi thriller. And then we've got the Parzival Mosaic. Michael Havelock's world died on a moonlit beach on the coast. God damn, I don't even know why I bother reading stuff. I can't read out loud and have it make sense. Anyway, Michael Havelock's world died on a moonlit beach on the Costa Brava as he watched his partner and lover and double agent Jenna Icarus efficiently gunned down by his own agency. Well, that's just a poorly written sentence. It's not my bad reading. That was just a fucking run-on sentence. Trevain. Fearless and incorruptible, Andrew Trevain is a self-made... Fearless and incorruptible, Andrew Trevain is a self-made millionaire, former Undersecretary of State, and current head of one of the nation's most prestigious foundations. Anyway, there's a bunch of conspiracy and bullshit in this one too. The Icarus Agenda. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Icarus Agenda. The Icarus Agenda. God. It's a picture of the White House or something. Colorado Congressman Evan Kendrick is trying to live out his term secretly and quietly when a political mole reveals his deepest secrets. Yeah, he's a spy. That's his deepest secret. And then we got the Matlock paper. I like the purple theme. Anyway, I'm not going to read this one. It's full of run-on sentences too. And then the Scorpio Illusion. Good cover there. Matches my shirt. Well, not really. Anyway, more stuff. Swept up into the Amsterdam, yada, yada, yada. Beautiful women. A serpentine trail of intrigue and spycraft and yada, yada. And then the last, but certainly not to be considered least, the Aquatine Progression. Another good one. Big one. In Geneva, American lawyer meets a man he hasn't seen in 20 years. A covert operative who dies violently at his feet, whispering the words, "The generals, they're back! Aquatine!" That's what it says on the back. Anyway, that's the whole collection right there. Woo! Looks pretty damn dope, if you ask me. So if you like thrillers, read Robert Ludlum.